I moved to Riverside back in 2013. Um, I I was renting before, and when I decided that I want to have a house or buy a flat or something, supposedly you own. What happened is that I start looking around, and I saw the Bellway ads about the area, and I called and decided to come over, and they didn't show me the place. They kept making excuses that safety and health, you can't go into the building, and blah blah blah. What happened later on, after I bought and I moved and everything, I found out that at the time when I was asking to be allowed into the building to see the flat, there were actually people, residents, living already in the building, but they wouldn't allow me because one of the things they did, I asked for a third floor, and they gave me a fourth floor with the lame excuse that the first floor is an elevated ground floor. So I ended up living on the fourth while I wanted a third. In the beginning, I liked the area, residential, nice, clean. But then when you live for a while there and you start notice things like, for instance, it took them forever to do the community garden, and I thought the community garden is going to be a place for people to, gather, enjoy some trees, some things like that. They have trenches there. I don't know why they have trenches. So if you remember last year, it was so hot, the grass was actually my length. And I kept thinking, we are in a wild place, Snakes could come because of that, because snakes come out in the heat. That's what I know. And I kept thinking every time during that summer that what happens if a child goes in there between the grass and there is a snake? So this is a health hazard that nobody bothered to think of. I don't even know why these trenches are there. Maybe they are trying to keep it to look like wild. I don't know. But this is not for children and houses and families. It's not. Then we started having problems with the safety. When we talk about safety, first it was fine because everything was working, but just in a few months, the entrance door started breaking down. The lift started breaking down. I locked myself once outside, and I didn't have a key. So one of the ladies in the houses opposite to the building came in and helped me. She just pulled very forcefully the door to the corridor door to my floor and opened it. And that is supposed to be a safety door that cannot be open except with the fob and all that. Many times there were attempts to, people trying to get into the first floor, or the so-called elevated ground floor. 2-3 times it happened, which means it's not safe enough. There is no policing presence in the area, not enough at all. And then at the beginning, in the first year, we had lots of break-ins into the garage. So we kept demanding about the cameras, where the cameras, and Pinnacle, who was the managing company at the time, they kept saying, we can't give it to you, but we can give it to the police. And anytime the police asked for them, if they asked for them, I don't know, they were told, they were erased. And it was just lately, actually back the beginning of this month that we've known that there are actually 2 cameras in the garage, 1 at each entrance. That's it. So anyone who broke into the garage, they stole bikes, motorcycles, they vandalized cars, broke glass, window glass, and we couldn't. We are paying actually. We are paying for cameras, CCTVs, which are useless. Another thing I think about safety, I don't think the area is well lit, There is this strip from Mentor Road, down to Samuel Garside House. I mean, anyone can ambush you there because there isn't any kind of light. There is a parking that sometimes the parking is lit. It's a very big one, big light, and in a way it gives a bit of light, but not that much to make you feel safe. If you go, for instance, to Morrison's to get anything in the 8 or in the evening, and you're going back there, anybody can ambush you there because it's totally, and it's far from the buildings and covered because of the grass and the wild, I don't know what they call them, the wild plants that are, the natural plants that are in the area, and they let them grow so tall and so big. So many times, I personally had to feel like I need not to run, but to walk really quickly to pass that strip of road to get to get home. So there are there are a lot of things. The lift, so many times the lift broke down with people. Even last week, the last week or the week before last, 3 times the lift they would bring someone to fix it. In less than 24 hours, it breaks again. 3 times in 1 week. When I asked the Stana people who supposedly own or supplied this lift, they said flimsy and cheap. Pregnant women got caught in that lift twice. Many of the residents, male residents, they would stay. Even last week or the week before last, one of the residents, who's my neighbor at Samuel Garside and my neighbor here too, he went to see to his flat and went into the lift, supposedly working, got stuck there. And every time, and the safety, they want to talk about safety. Can you imagine being locked in a lift and the phone, the emergency phone, not working? It's been like that for months and months and months.
Considering how often they break the lifts, for the phone not to be working is outrageous.
It is outrageous, and what's more outrageous is the fact that RMG, who is now managing the company, managing the building, they decided, keep your phone with you, and if anything happens, just call this number. But if I go into the lift and they don't know that, or they know but they are just acting stupid, if you go into the lift, you don't get a signal there. So people are basically left to their own I don't know what the word is, their own ways to keep safe, to keep trying to avoid any unpleasant situation like being locked in a lift or last year it broke for 3 months. I'm not young, I'm 63 already. So just imagine taking your shopping, whatever, and going up 4 floors. And that's before the fire. And now, nothing changed, nothing happened, and we are still struggling with every single thing that has to do with that building and the management of that building.
In the run-up or the lead-up to the fire, were there any clues or instances that showed the building to not be safe in regards to something like a fire?
Well, I can tell you that when I first moved in, so many residents had complaints, including myself. We met a couple of times, a few households, and for instance, one of them said that they actually did not. One of the balcony,
Mm-hmm.
there is what do you call that? The rails. Yeah. They didn't fix it properly, and she was really scared because she leaned toward it and it moved. So right from the beginning there were issues. Right from the beginning there were even if you look at the way that these partitions between balconies and different flats, they are not safe. Who could tell me that someone living in that place is not a crook, a robber, or a drug user, or whatever? And they can very easy. So many little things, but you don't see these things. You know what I mean? You don't see these things because you are eager to get something. You found what you want. You like it, and they don't give you the time. The time to think about it. I had to sign on the very same day I spoke to them. It was either that or it's gone.
You said that you and other residents had made complaints. What response were you met with to these complaints?
Well, at the time, it was at the beginning when we started. The building was all occupied or lived in. I can tell you one thing. All my personal complaints were never dealt with. There were things done very, at least you expect from a company like Bellway, supposedly care for community and all those slogans that they keep telling you about. That at least they would do a proper job. If I take you to my flat now to see it, there are so many. There is, for instance, a crack in the bathroom. There is a piece also in the bathroom tap. It seems that it was old and they didn't bother. They just put it there. And when I brought the manager who was responsible. I can't remember his name. And I showed him so many things, and he kept taking notes, and then he left and did absolutely nothing. And I kept emailing them, and talking to them, and in the end, I said, okay, fine, you don't want to do anything, okay. I hired a solicitor. But even with a solicitor, for a whole year, they kept on, and not responding to his emails or his correspondence or taking their time, A whole year passed, and I paid so much money for absolutely nothing, and I couldn't afford it anymore, so I had to stop. But so many things, starting with the floor, for instance, and the outright lie they gave me, and to the little things that are not properly done in the and one of the things, for instance, that I liked about the flat is the fact that it is a balcony. There's a balcony. I was so happy with the balcony. It turned out that there is no drainage, and when it rains, it just simply goes from one floor to the other, and you can't use it, not at all, not at any time. You can't use it. If you're lucky, like this summer or maybe last summer, it was nice. But you can't really use it. And now they are saying that we are not supposed to use it. We're not supposed to have. Why did I pay for that? Why did I pay for that if I don't have the right to use it? Of course, not to have anything dangerous or that might cause a fire or anything like that, but sensibly have use it, Just put a chair up there and have a cup of coffee in the morning. Enjoy it. No. Now this is what RMG and Home Ground and all those people are demanding. Yeah. What can you do? Oh, we can do. Yeah, we're fighting them. They are not getting their way. They are not going to get their way. This is one thing for sure.
So, if we can then go to the fire, if you don't mind just recounting what your experience was of that day.
It's funny. What you need to know is that right from the beginning, every single resident thought there is fire alarms in the building. So nobody expected that a fire would be so severe and so dangerous, and in just a matter of few minutes, destructive, and not a single alarm would go on. I was at home. I cleaned. I took my time, I had my bath and everything, and then I heard this boom, 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 someone knocking like crazy on the door. And I thought, why? But then I heard other knocks. So I finished putting on my clothes, and by that time, another very strong knock. I opened the door, and there's this stranger, a young man, telling me, "Get out of here, there is a fire." I could have stayed there very easily. And although, I guess I'm one of the lucky ones, because in Block D, the fire couldn't get to Block D, thank God, because of the break in the And the wooden cladding, there is no wooden cladding where the entrance is and the staircase. So it didn't go. But I didn't know anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't smell anything. So I just grabbed my keys, my bag, and went down. I even then, I was like, I was thinking, it must be the alarms didn't go. It must be in some flat, inside a certain flat that's not even that close, because I can't hear anything. And I went down the stairs very calmly, almost smiling that why people make big fuss of things, It wasn't until I got to the entrance and I looked up and the fire is up there, right over the entrance. I didn't know what to do. I took one step back, but the residents and the neighbors saw me, and they just started screaming, "Run, run, run!" And I ran. And all the time I was like, I'm looking, but I'm not like, I'm not really getting what's happening, as if it's just like something happening, but it's not mine. It's not, you know what I mean? As if I have nothing to do with it. It's not touching me at the beginning. It didn't really hit me what happened, and all the time, I was waiting for the fire people the fire brigade to put off the fire so I can go back home. This is what I was thinking. Oh, come on, do something. Put the fire out. And I want to go home, But it didn't hit me. I didn't feel anything, It didn't really. I didn't grasp what really and how effective it was till later on, really, maybe 2-3 days later, and I was like, my God, what's going to happen now? Community center, barking, Premier Inn. Every day I didn't have any clothes with me. I had nothing. And I just, my main concern when I got out, I started looking around for my neighbors, where are they? Did they get out? And there was this young lady and her mother, her name, she lived with her mother, and at the time she was on her own. And I was wondering, and her apartment was one of the apartments that was totally destroyed. And I kept looking around and saying, where is Velma? Where is Velma? Looking just, because I didn't see her. I had my phone with me and I couldn't think. I didn't have enough, what's the word? I couldn't think properly enough. I have her phone number to call her, just make sure that she's out. And then a young man, a teenager, came, why don't you call her? And I called her. And she said, no, I'm not there. I'm shopping outside. But then, the intensity, and although my apartment wasn't affected by the fire or anything else, but to see the devastation, it was a devastation for everyone, and to see the devastation on everyone's face, and people are scared. People are like in shock, all of them, even the houses. Oh my God. If that, the very next day, there was a lot of wind. If that wind was on that Sunday, 9th of June, believe me, the whole estate would have been on fire. And no one would have been able to get out of there. Because the wood was so dry, in like, I guess, 6 minutes. It took 6-7 minutes for it to eat up, like, I don't know, a whole block, more than a block. All the cladding, and go into the flats, and it was shocking. I mean, even when you think of it, and you remember it, I mean, they would turn the water on the upper flat, which was also totally burnt. And you think, okay, they put off the fire. In like 2-3 minutes, you'd see the fire coming back in the same place. It wasn't until they got that, I don't know what you call it,
the big ladder.
Yeah, they brought one of those cars, and they started focusing on inside, directing the water directly inside the flats to put off the. Otherwise, I think most probably, if the fire kept going on, it would have reached the whole even hours, because from that side it's all connected. It's all connected. And to think about that, and to think that Bellway saleswoman and Bellway manager, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The site manager, not the manager, but the site manager at the time. I personally asked him about the wood. I never saw a balcony made of wood. It's stupid. And I asked him, what about the wood? Is it protected or whatever? I don't know what I actually said at the time, but what I wanted to know whether it is safe. And in a country like the UK, lots of dampness and rain and all that, and wood. Okay, so I asked them, no, don't worry, everything, they are treated and they are perfect and they are guaranteed for 10 years. I thought, okay. I didn't even question them. These are people who are having their other people's lives depending on what they do and what they say. I look at this building here. Can you imagine how small the what do you call these? The columns that lift the floors. They are so small, aren't they? They are so small. I come from a country where any building, the basis of the building has to be like, I don't know how many meters deep, and any one of these would be like this, at least, to hold up everything. And I was looking at them, my God. Yeah, so, right from the beginning, they weren't truthful. They didn't let people really know what kind of fire or anything else when it comes to your safety, to your health, or whatever. They didn't let people really know what was going on at all. Till the fire happened, as I said, no one knew that we didn't have alarms. And I don't know, they were saying that even the alarm in the kitchen, I think it's an alarm, the kitchen, something like that. You need to do something for it so as to work. They never told me that. And I think they expect people would come and read all those catalogs or instructions, but when you're in the middle of moving in and doing so much and working and everything. Who's gonna do all that? You know? And no one thinks of anything of the sort. I mean, even now, even now, after all the work has been done and is still gonna be done for months, most probably, and the so-called the promise by Bellway, Home Ground, and everybody that they're gonna change the balconies, we are worried, really worried about the structure, because I myself, and I told the building control gentleman that I myself, the first floor, which is supposedly the ground, elevated ground floor, this floor, there is a connecting door between the different blocks. This is something we didn't know about. So we didn't know about till the fire took place. And they started taking us from entrance to block C, going through the elevated ground floor. And in that place, in the corridors, I noticed there's a crack there, something like that up. 2 weeks later on, I came in and the crack was wider. I couldn't say anything because at the time I had my flat on market to sell, and I had a viewer with me. So I didn't want to say anything. And RMG, but I looked at it and I was like, God, it's gotten bigger. And then all of a sudden, carpets everywhere. They just laid the carpets, they redecorated the corridors, and everything is nice and well and fine. Even those with other residents saw cracks in their houses, in the corridors, and they were all covered up. No real work. What's worse, they came a while about, I don't know, maybe sometime during this month, earlier this month. Thomason's surveyor, who came to my flat to sign it off, just to check that everything is fine, nothing needs to be done. So if I asked later on for anything to be done, oh, but we gave you enough time and you said nothing. Anyway, what I said, what he told me, because I questioned the fact that, what do you mean by signing off? What if while they are building something happens and my flat is damaged or something? And he said, well, this is why we are doing it. It works both ways. So from one way, they know that everything is fine, but if anything happens, they know, because of the work, they know that you have the evidence there. And I said, okay, you spoke about structure. Where is the structure report that you talked about? And you said that you've done, Thomason's done. He said, yes, there was a structure engineer and he took samples and then he made a report. Okay, where is the report? Why didn't you give us the report? None of us got anything about that supposedly structural inspection that was ordered by Bellway, I think, and Home Ground asked Thomasons to do. We know nothing till this very moment. And then he told me that actually, because he knows I doubt them, I don't trust any one of them. Not Thomasons, not Bellway, not Home Ground. They are all nothing but a bunch of liars, a bunch of crooks who want to make money. They don't care about anybody's safety. Even the fire inspector who came the very second day after the fire to the community center. He had the audacity to say, yes, I would take my family and live back there right now. Anyway, so he said that they actually inspected the walls where the flats were totally damaged. The bricks moved. They are not safe or in alignment or something like that. And Belway was thinking of just leaving them as they are, just do aesthetic things, not do. And they, as he said, I don't know, he said that Thomason said, no, you can't do that. This is dangerous. You have to remove and rebuild. So this is what we're dealing with. Before the fire and after the fire, even Pinnacle. We got RMG since November 2018. It took over. Before that, both the building and the estate were run by Pinnacle. Anytime you ask, they have no questions, no answers. Anytime you request for invoices, for any kind of proof about the service charge they've been hitting us with, absolutely nothing. Until this very moment, there are people, who are trying to get to some of the stuff, just for last year's service charge, because they are about to charge us again now. And we want to see these, and we can't get them. They keep telling things, I don't know. They keep stalling and making up excuses. And I called them once. They tell me, oh, you're welcome to come anytime you want. Come to the office. Excuse me? I work. I don't have the time. And they know that. So how am I expected to leave my work, go there, if I really want to look into invoices and make accounts and, count things and compare things? I'm going to need a month maybe to do that. Am I supposed to leave my work for a whole month because Pinnacle doesn't want to provide me with any copies or anything like that? Yeah. This area could be a very, very nice area, a very nice residential area, and I'm sure it's going to be. But I really pity those who are going to buy in this area. I do. Just after our fire, there was another fire incident. And I think most probably you heard about those fires taking place here and there, everywhere. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
In the immediate aftermath, so that night, where did the residents of the building end up?
All over the place. Till late. I do understand. It's an emergency. They weren't counting on it and everything. But they managed to find hotels, budget hotels to take in the residents. But some of them had to go all the way to Dagenham or Stratford or Ilford. And sometimes even one of my neighbors, they sent him somewhere close to central London. He stayed there for a couple of weeks, I think. And it was very difficult because at that point, no one was going to work. Everybody is coming to the community center, later on to the Rivergate Center, to keep in touch, to know what's happening, to get information and other updates. And it was a mess. And what they did also is that, for some unknown reason, although they can't see how bad the building was, and it was impossible for anyone to go back, even though they kept people under the stress of booking the hotels 1 week, for 1 week. And by the end of the week, people would go like, they wouldn't say anything, They wouldn't say a thing till after 5 or 5:30, we start getting those messages. We extended your stay. We extended your stay. That was ICAP, But I think ICAP was following the orders of the insurer, and the insurer following the orders of Home and Ground and RMG and all those guys. So they kept people standing on their toes. I mean, as if what happened wasn't enough. The stress, the anxiety, the shock of everything that we went through wasn't enough at all to them. And they kept playing with people's nerves like that, and being so.
When was there in the aftermath anyone who came forward? Any organisation who came forward and said, "This is our fault. We want to try and rectify this." Did anything of that kind happen?
The very next day, Home Ground, Bellway, the fire company, not the fire brigade, the risk assessment, this company that does the risk assessments. And there was someone else. Of course, the council also. I mean, I believe they know exactly what they had. And they know exactly the low quality of the wooden cladding that was used on the building. I mean, because the kind of response for them to come, and Bellway said, we will take over, the repairs, and we know that Bellway just 2 years, before, they sold supposedly to Adriatic. So why would they be so keen? But they know, and they are all together in this game. So they know the kind of quality they have, and they know that they are responsible, and they know because there is the report that was made in January, and which is stated very clearly that the balconies, the decking is, the balcony cladding is dangerous. And all of them, especially Home Ground and RMG being the building managers, they deliberately kept silent about it and did nothing about it. They claimed that they made a few things, which, to tell you the truth, I personally did not see anything being done. They had even one. No, that's not totally correct. I remember now. They did something about what we all thought at this time was the fire alarm. The system wasn't properly done or properly connected, I don't know, something like that. And they brought these electricians and they worked on the place, the whole building, supposedly. But, they put up signs. There weren't signs that tells you fire exit, so they put those too. But the actual and most important thing, which is the wooden cladding, they didn't say anything about, they didn't do anything about till the fire happened. And they subjected every single resident to this danger. I mean, even like when I confronted, what's her name, Michelle Ivemy, the manager, the regional manager at RMG, she was like so indifferent and kept saying, "Don't blame me, I didn't start the fire." Well, excuse me, you're the one who hid the report. You're the one who was supposed to act on whatever the fire risk report said, and you didn't. And you are, and your company, the building managers. So I don't know where she came up with that. I'm not responsible. I didn't start the fire. But then, and what's really more frustrating is when you know that even the law, the regulations themselves are so bad, are so flimsy. Is that the correct word? To the extent that any construction company can play games and expose people's lives and people's hard-earned, hard-earned money in spending on furniture or decorating or whatever. I mean, how would they feel if it was them? I don't understand. I really don't understand. To come out with nothing but your clothes on your back. People lost money, people lost jewelry.
Emotional attachments as well.
Exactly, the pictures. I mean, my friend, my neighbor, she was crying, and she still cries anytime she thinks that she lost everything. She has 2 little girls. All her history with her little girls is gone. You know? I mean, and they don't care. It didn't happen to them. It didn't happen to their families. So why not? They don't care. And they keep playing, and they are being covered, I think, by the regulators and the politicians, and, well, everybody is protecting them on the expense of honest, hard-working people who are paying their taxes. Are they paying their taxes? I wonder. Or maybe they are just hiding them in some tax haven somewhere in the Bahamas or whatever they are, Caribbean islands. Are they paying? No. Even Adriatic, we didn't see a single person from Adriatic. The only person we saw was home ground, a gentleman called Andres. I can't remember his full name. And you wanna talk about communicating with or communicating with the community, with the residents in the area. Home ground, ever since it took over from there was another company, I can't remember the exact name. We have no way of communicating with home ground, who is Adriatic representative, except an email. Just an email. When I spoke to this Andreessen, I can't remember the name, for home ground. He is the officer, the legal and legal services manager and something else manager. Anyway, I told him, I spoke to him the second day after the fire, and I told him, you're here. How can we get in touch with you? How can we? There isn't a way. There isn't an office. There is nothing. There is nothing except this email. And if they like, they would reply. And if they don't reply. For 2 months, you want to talk about communicating with residents and making life easier and getting people involved more. For 2 months, I kept trying to convince those home ground people that I've already paid my ground rent. At the beginning of the year, I pay. I send a check. I make a photocopy of the check and I keep it with the rest of my papers. All of a sudden, they sent me like a threatening letter. You didn't pay, you pay, otherwise we'll do. I called, I said, I did. No, records don't show that. 2 months getting these threatening letters. Till the end, a lady who was smart enough to go look into the records, and by that time they sent me the not the invoice, but the payments record, whatever they call it. And I noticed that they had £200 under a certain item that I don't usually pay, while the ground rent is zero, still zero. So when she spoke to me, I told her, look at this, because this is something I don't pay. This is where the money is. I sent them like at least twice a copy of the check, the email I sent them, and they kept saying, no, you didn't pay. Our records show that you didn't pay. When this lady went and looked around, she found out that I did pay. And she was apologetic. But did any of the idiots of home ground said anything about that? Or decided that, maybe we need some better communication with the residents? Or maybe the employees who are working should be more sensitive or try to do their best? Nothing. Even Margaret Hodge, I had to involve MP Margaret Hodge about that. I told her what happened. And I confronted this recent gentleman in the community center about that too. They don't care. People to them is a money machine. They care about the service charge. They care about the rent, the ground rent. Just a few days ago, Zurich sent us its new invoice for the building insurance. And I'm sure that home ground is going to raise the ground rent because this is what they intended to do. And the service charge is already hiked by £26,000. Only the building, we still did not get the estate service charge. And I've been trying to get Michelle Nolan from RMG to myself and another resident to get us invoices and contracts so as to at least to have some time to compare if the numbers are correct or not. Nothing, absolutely nothing. She didn't even reply to I sent her yesterday, the day before, on Saturday maybe, or Friday. I sent her another email reminding her, you still did not answer. You still didn't tell me anything. Nothing. This is the kind of people we're dealing with. From Pinnacle to RMG to Home Ground to stupid Bellway, everybody. Everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any...
And
sorry, go on.
Before you ask her, this is very important because and now what they are doing, and this is also I think it's part of really making residents feel that those people who are running this place really care, really feel, really consider that people have maybe need to be a bit what's the word? You need to be, I mean, not so stiff in decisions or you make, you know. And I'll explain it now. For years, when Pinnacle was managing the building and the estate, I used to pay my service charge in 2 installments, in 2 months, one after the other. I mean, I'll pay one month, and the next one I'll pay the next. All of a sudden, RMG, hiding behind the leasehold and Adriatic and what the leasehold says, they want people with all this raise they are going to be hit with in the new service charge. They want people to pay the whole service charge in one bulk. This is it. It's 1,000, you pay 1,000. I'm sick, my child is sick, maybe my car is broken, I need to fix it. I don't give a damn about that. And I kept, even last time, the first service charge that RMG actually charged us, I sent them an email, told them this is how I do it, and this is how I used to do it with Pinnacle, and they were fine with it, and I hope it will be fine with you. So I paid half of it. They sent me a letter with £45 increase. Why? Because of administrative fees, because I was late. So I called, they said, no, you have to pay everything. I said, why do I have to pay everything? It's 6 months. Why should I pay everything? This is how the lease. And this Michelle Ivemy person, just right from the beginning, started hiding behind what the leasehold says and what the leasehold stipulates, as if we are nothing but like, I don't know, we're not human beings. We're not, no consideration at all whatsoever. And I had to pay it. Although I couldn't, but I had to pay it. And they are going to do. Now, why would that be? Is that the kind of really concern for the community? I don't think so. This is not a way to treat people. This is not a way, especially if your record shows that you've never been lying or trying to get out of payment or anything like that. Some people did it. And now there is a resident who has to pay in thousands, and he had to go to the first tribunal, I guess. Yeah. And he won a case against them. Simply because they want him to pay a huge amount of money even before he bought. So where's the regulations here? And they tell you the money comes with the property, not the owner. Oh, really? So someone doesn't pay you for 5 years, and I buy not knowing what's happening, and I'm stuck with thousands and thousands of pounds? What law says that? What kind of regulations allows something like that to happen? I wonder. I'd like to ask the politicians.
Do you think that's where justice or closure lies, potentially, with politicians?
I think politicians, and we all know it, politicians are supporting these companies, supporting these regulations. We all know for sure that there are so many members of parliament who opposed some changes that were proposed some time ago. I think 70 MP refused to agree, because the regulations, I don't know, maybe it protects their own interests, their own relations with companies like these. Of course it's the politicians. They are the legislators, aren't they? They are the ones who are putting down these laws, these regulations. And this is why, when last time we were at the residents' meeting and talking about the buildings, I was really like, I said, what are we doing? Why are we still going to protest in front of Bellway or a BRL or whomever? It's the parliament we should go to. We should stay there. It's people's right, people's money, people's health, people's safety. It's not right. I mean, I come from a totally different company, a supposedly third world company. And yes, we have corruption, and yes, you can do whatever you want as long as you pay money. But you'd never think that something like that would happen in a so-called developed country. Fair, justice. Where is all that? A country that puts laws and order and whatever, regulations, and treats people equally and whatever. Where is that? And I don't understand, to tell you the truth, I don't understand why the British people don't do anything. My God. Why are they so calm about these things? It's their lives. It's their lives. But then they go back, just like what happens back home, and they elect the same politicians. Yeah. It's the same game, I guess, all over the world. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Politicians, regulators, there should be even, ombudsman, these ombudsman bodies, they really should be independent, they really should have power to do something. Like, I wonder, these what do they call it? I don't know. The NBA National, something that has to do, the organization supposedly that gives the all clear for any plans. NBH something, I can't remember. So many letters and abbreviations, yeah. I mean, when things started we started to find the so many wrong things, we were all like, God, I mean, if this is an ombudsman who are supposed to make sure that everything is done properly and give the all clear to those construction companies, how did they do that? How did they do that? In whose mind it is right in any way to have a building cladded with wood? You know, if this fire took place on the other side on any of the balconies to the other side of the building, the back side, none of us would have walked out. None of us, because that side, the whole building, from corner to corner, is all cladded. So who's supposed to take care of these things? Where are the politicians and the promises and the regulators? And it's stupid.
I guess that's what we hope to find out.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I put the blame. I think those companies need to be accountable, and regulations should be set very particular regulations, very, like, I don't know how do you say it in English? Like, every little thing should be inspected and regulations should be written about it. So these companies don't get away with what they are doing. With all the problems right now at Samuel Garside House, RMG a few days ago sent emails to residents telling them, please make sure that you make arrangements to move back into the building by the 7th of October. When they know well enough that the council inspection, the report, as the council told us, won't finish till the 18th of October, and then the council has to get it, read it, and then make a decision about whatever those inspectors found. But they are so keen to push people back so as to cut their losses, even if it's going to be on people's expense and their health. And I don't understand. I mean, so many people went back, most of them who live to the other side, so they are not really that affected by the noise and the dust. But for myself, although my own apartment isn't damaged, but I can't live there. The scaffolding is right up there. I have no privacy. The balcony, I can't go out because of the filth and the dust and the workers. The stairs actually for the scaffolding is right in front of my living room. I can't open a door. I either have to keep my doors closed and my curtains shut, so have to have some privacy. Otherwise, if I opened it, it's going to be all dust, noise, and the music. They want to enjoy themselves. I can't blame them, the workers. And right from the beginning, what RMG told us, that when they were trying to push us back there, they said, well, no, everything is fine, the noise and nothing. They are going to have these covers, so no dust will come into the corridors or the flats. They're gonna try their best to be quiet. And come on, are you kidding me? Just the other day, I had an agent there, and some scaffolding. I don't know. It was those iron rods. They fell down. I don't know if it was part of I couldn't see it, but it looked like so many iron bars just fell down and from the scaffolding, and it was. I jumped out of my place, ran into the balcony, but I couldn't say anything. And they just want people to move back there with no consideration at all. No, it's safe. Of course it's safe. Bring your child and get them in there if it's that safe. I hope, I don't know about this inquiry. I hope it can do something, because I mean, one way or another, I'm leaving the area. That's it for me. No Samuel Garside, no RMG, nothing. Just out of the whole area. Even if I'm gonna go back to renting, it's much better. At least, you rent, you don't like it, you move. That's it. No threats, no people being so careless about your health, about your safety, about your well-being. They don't care. All they want is that to just push their hands into your pocket to get more money out of you, and that's it. But I hope the inquiry would be able to do something to change this kind of, I don't know, bad culture in the construction industry and the leasehold industry and all these leasehold. God damn it! I pay my money for. I mean, it's so unfair to people, because at one point that the service charge might get so high to the extent that you can't pay it, and if you don't pay it, you will be kicked out of your home to the street after paying thousands, hundreds of thousands for it. You're kicked out. Why? Because of this very strange, very awkward, very... what's the unfair system of leasehold, and people allowing them to sell flats and sell buildings and houses, but yet you don't really own any of it. It's like they are robbing you with your eyes wide open of your own hard-earned money, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. This is fairness? I don't think so. Is this what people expect from regulators and politicians and political parties? I don't think so. So I just hope that this inquiry would be able to pin down these negative points or negative issues or negative elements that are really ruining people's lives and putting them every single day. I mean, at the end, who's paying for all that? Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you build a good house, your house will last for generations. You may need to maintain it, but you won't have to demolish it within like 10 or 15 years. And which is better? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a person who really has anything to do with economy or finance or all these things, but in my mind, it's common sense. So I hope this inquiry would be able to put the bricks, the basis of something that would lead in the end to a change to all this that is happening, because it's not fair, it's not right, and it doesn't really give that kind of it doesn't make people feel that they belong to the place, they care about the place. It's not right.